Frederick Valentich was a young man with a passion for flight. From a very young age, he was fascinated by the idea of soaring through the skies, and this fascination only grew stronger as he got older. At 20 years old, he had already earned his pilot's license and dreamt of a career in the skies. His dedication to achieving this goal was evident in the countless hours he spent studying aviation and practicing his flying skills. He was known for his adventurous spirit and love for aviation. Friends and family often spoke of his unwavering enthusiasm and the twinkle in his eye whenever he talked about flying. Based in Melbourne, Australia, Valentich often embarked on short flights to hone his skills and explore the vast expanse above. The city and its surroundings provided a beautiful backdrop for his flights, and he never missed an opportunity to take in the breathtaking views from above. Valentich's determination to become a commercial pilot was evident in his dedication to logging flight hours. He meticulously recorded each flight, knowing that every hour brought him one step closer to his dream. He took every opportunity to take to the air, often flying a Cessna 182, a single-engine aircraft that was familiar to many amateur pilots. The Cessna was his trusted companion, and he felt a deep connection to the aircraft. He was meticulous in his pre-flight checks and adhered to safety protocols. Valentich understood the importance of safety in aviation and never compromised on it, ensuring that every flight was as safe as possible. Despite his youth, Valentich had accumulated a respectable amount of flight time. His logbook was a testament to his dedication and hard work, filled with entries that chronicled his journey as a pilot. He was considered a competent pilot by his peers, though some noted his tendency to push the limits. His adventurous nature sometimes led him to take risks, but he always did so with a calculated approach. Nonetheless, he had never been involved in any serious incidents and was generally regarded as a safe and cautious flyer. His reputation in the aviation community was that of a young pilot with great potential and a bright future ahead. Valentich's love for aviation was infectious, and he often shared his passion with his family and friends. He would spend hours talking about his flights, the challenges he faced, and the exhilaration he felt when he was in the air. He regaled them with stories of his aerial adventures and his dreams of one day flying for a major airline. His ambition was clear, and those who knew him had no doubt that he would achieve his goals. Little did anyone know that one of his seemingly routine flights would become the subject of international intrigue and mystery. This flight would not only change the course of his life, but also leave an indelible mark on the world of aviation. On the afternoon of October 21st, 1978, Frederick Valentich prepared for a routine flight from Melbourne to King Island. This 125-mile journey across the Bass Strait was one he had completed several times before. The weather forecast was favorable, with clear skies and calm winds predicted. Valentich filed his flight plan as usual, indicating his intended route and estimated arrival time. He performed his pre-flight checks with meticulous care, ensuring that the Cessna 182 was in optimal condition. He contacted air traffic control at Melbourne Airport, receiving clearance for takeoff and instructions for his flight path. At approximately 6:19 p.m., Valentich's Cessna lifted off the runway and soared into the twilight sky. He acknowledged the air traffic controller's instructions and maintained radio contact as he climbed to his cruising altitude of 4,500 feet. His initial reports indicated a smooth and uneventful flight. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the Australian landscape, Valentich's Cessna continued its journey southward. He was alone in the cockpit, his young life hanging in the balance as he navigated the vast expanse of air and sea that separated mainland Australia from the rugged coastline of King Island. Approximately 30 minutes into his flight, as darkness enveloped the Cessna, Valentich's calm demeanor changed. At 7:06 p.m., he contacted Melbourne Air Traffic Control, his voice betraying a hint of anxiety. He reported an unidentified aircraft flying above him, its lights shining brightly against the darkening sky. "Melbourne, it is 459 Hotel Echo. There is a traffic below 5,000, Valentich stated, his words measured and clear. When asked to identify the traffic, he replied, "It's got a long shape. I cannot identify more than that." He described the unknown object as having 4 bright lights and moving at high speed. As the minutes ticked by, Valentich's transmissions became increasingly frantic. He reported that the unidentified craft was circling above him, its intentions unclear. His voice trembled as he described the object's strange movements and erratic behavior, unlike anything he had encountered before. "It seems to be playing some sort of game," Valentich exclaimed, his breathing becoming more rapid. "It is flying over me 2-3 times, at speeds I could not identify." He described the object's metallic sheen and the way it seemed to vanish and reappear as if by magic. Section 4. Vanished without a trace. Valentich's final transmission sent chills down the spines of the air traffic controllers, listening intently in the tower. The tension in the room was palpable as they strained to hear every word, hoping for some clue that would explain the bizarre situation unfolding before them. His voice, now laced with fear, uttered a series of chilling words that have haunted investigators for decades. "It's hovering, and it's not an aircraft," he said, his tone filled with a mix of awe and terror. The gravity of his words was not lost on those listening. "It is hovering, and it is not an aircraft." Then silence. The kind of silence that feels heavy, almost tangible, as if the very air had been sucked out of the room. For several agonizing minutes, air traffic control attempted to re-establish contact with Valentich, but their calls were met with an eerie silence. Each unanswered call only deepened the sense of dread and helplessness. The young pilot and his Cessna 182 had vanished without a trace, swallowed by the night sky. The vast expanse of the ocean below seemed to mock their efforts, offering no clues, no answers. The mystery of his disappearance would soon grip the attention of the world. News outlets quickly picked up the story, and soon everyone was talking about the young pilot who had seemingly vanished into thin air. An immediate search and rescue operation was launched, scouring the area where Valentich's last transmission originated. The urgency of the mission was clear. Every second counted in the race to find him. Aircraft and boats combed the waters of the Bass Strait, hoping against hope to find some sign of the missing pilot or his plane. The search teams were relentless, driven by the hope that they might still find him alive. But despite their tireless efforts, the search yielded no results. The vast, unforgiving ocean seemed to have swallowed him whole, leaving no trace behind. Days turned into weeks as the search continued, but the fate of Frederick Valentich remained a baffling enigma. The longer the search went on, the more questions arose and the fewer answers seemed to be found. The official investigation concluded that the young pilot had likely become disoriented and crashed into the sea, his aircraft lost beneath the waves. Yet this explanation did little to quell the growing speculation and theories. However, many refused to accept this explanation, pointing to the strange circumstances surrounding his disappearance. Theories ranged from extraterrestrial encounters to secret military operations, each more fantastical than the last. The mystery of Frederick Valentich's disappearance remains one of the most enduring aviation enigmas to this day. The Section 5 whispers from the ground. While the official investigation focused on the possibility of pilot error or mechanical failure, whispers of a more extraordinary explanation began to circulate. Eyewitness accounts emerged, adding another layer of intrigue to the already perplexing case. Several individuals claimed to have seen unusual lights in the sky over the Bass Strait on the night of Valentich's disappearance. Some described a bright, fast-moving object that matched the characteristics of the craft Valentich had reported to air traffic control. Others spoke of strange lights hovering in the distance, their movements seemingly erratic and inexplicable. One witness, a farmer working near the coast, reported seeing a green light hovering over the water. He claimed that the light seemed to be attached to a larger, darker object that made no sound. Another witness, a fisherman out on the water that night, described seeing a bright white light moving rapidly across the sky before disappearing below the horizon. These eyewitness accounts, though varied in their details, added fuel to the speculation that Valentich's disappearance was not simply a tragic accident. They suggested that something truly extraordinary had occurred in the skies above the Bass Strait that night, something that defied conventional explanation. Section 6. Engines of Deception. As news of Valentich's disappearance spread, theories abounded, ranging from the plausible to the outlandish. The mystery captivated the public's imagination, leading to a flurry of speculation and debate. Some speculated that he had staged his own disappearance, perhaps seeking a new life far from the pressures of his aviation aspirations. This theory suggested that Valentich, feeling overwhelmed by the demands of his career, might have seen vanishing as his only escape. Others suggested that he had become disoriented and flown off course, eventually crashing into the remote Australian wilderness. The vast and unforgiving terrain of Australia could easily swallow a small aircraft, making it nearly impossible to locate. One of the most enduring theories is that Valentich fell victim to a rare meteorological phenomenon known as a spatial disorientation illusion. This theory posits that even experienced pilots can be deceived by their senses under certain conditions. This occurs when a pilot experiences sensory illusions due to changes in gravity or acceleration, leading to a loss of situational awareness and potentially fatal consequences. Pilots can feel as though they are flying level when they are actually in a dangerous descent or turn. Proponents of this theory argue that Valentich, flying at night over water with limited visual cues, may have become disoriented and misperceived the lights of distant stars or planets as those of an approaching aircraft. The vast, dark expanse of the ocean can be particularly disorienting, even for seasoned aviators. This could explain his panicked radio transmissions and the belief that he was being pursued by an unidentified craft. His distress calls, filled with confusion and fear, suggest he was experiencing something profoundly unsettling. However, critics of this theory point out that Valentich was a relatively experienced pilot who had logged numerous night flights. They argue that his training and experience should have prepared him to handle such situations without succumbing to disorientation. They argue that it is unlikely that he would have succumbed to such a basic form of disorientation, especially given the calm weather conditions reported on the night of his disappearance. The clear skies and tranquil conditions make it difficult to believe that Valentich could have been so easily misled by his senses.